Every superhero has to have their theme music. Thanks for watching. This is AgUP World. This is my season for grace, for favor. This is my season to reap what I have sown. Yes, it is. Yes, this is my season for grace and favor. This is my season to reap what I have sown. Yeah. Listen, I haven't been perfect, no, but I sure have been faithful. Yes, I've been faithful. You see, God's got a purpose, no, and yes, I know He's able. I've got a seed in the ground that He's blessing. No more stressing. I've got a seed in the ground. Now I know Him, and now I can show Him. This is my seed for grace and favor. Yeah. This is my season to reap what I have sown. Oh. Everything is working together for my good. Help me say, everything is working together for my good. It may look bad right now. Everything is working, but it's gonna work out together for my good. No matter what you're dealing with right now, everything is working. It's gonna work out together for your good, for my good. Let's go to the next part. Say it's good. It's good. It's good. It's good. It's good. It's good. It's gonna work. It's working for my good. Don't you give up. It's good. Don't you give in. It's good. Hang on in there. It's good. It's working for my good. My good. My good. It's working for my good. Well, welcome again to another episode of AgUP World, Agriculture for a United People. And of course, I'm your host, Coach K, Kieran Simmons. And yes, we are missing my co-host, Terrian Parker. She is very busy. And so we just appreciate when she's able to stop in and give us her millennial mind and her opinion about things. She's such a brilliant young lady. This month, we've been talking all about industrial hemp. It is a cash crop. It's one that I definitely support, and you all know that. Anybody who knows me, that is how I got into the agriculture world, is through industrial hemp and the farmers saying we need to get into the market. So even way back in 2019, and we thought, oh my goodness, this thing is so super saturated. CBD was what we were producing hemp for, the flower. And again, it was a real big explosion. And as things are filling out and we're trying to see exactly which way we should go when it comes to industrial hemp, things are panning out in my direction, which is fiber. So I'm always promoting fiber, and since the very beginning, because it is a way for sustainable building materials, pressed hemp wood could allow us to stop butchering our trees that are so needed. And so just getting into industrial hemp for this month was important. Today, we do not have any guest stars. I have been out of town this week. And so we're going to talk about where was I. Coach K is all over the country. And so, yes, we're going to talk a little bit about that. And we're going to talk about Tuskegee University. That's where I was this past week. And the road from Montgomery to Selma, Alabama. And if anybody knows anything about our history, it is now labeled Bloody Sunday. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. It is still Women's History Month. And so I'm a woman, and I definitely believe in living a life of legacy. So I'm going to talk about a portion of my life from a while back and a book I wrote. So I'm going to introduce that as well. The book I wrote as far as in regards to Black History Month and women's Black history is very important. March is Women's History Month, and February was Black History Month, but it's always a good time for Black history. So we're going to discuss that as well. Yes, so industrial hemp. Of course, there's like many uses for it. And so next week, I do plan to bring some growers on to just kind of give us their point of view, their side to this thing. But industrial hemp has lots of uses, right? Well, I want to talk about another unconventional income form that even all farmers who are growing something green can benefit from. And that is credit carbon currency. So I'm going to share my screen and kind of just give you some history about credit carbon currency and just on our way to what is that. And industrial hemp, of course, is the biomass itself, which can be turned into bioplastics. Again, hempcrete, that black carbon stuff that's on the TVs, which is also a form of plastic. It can also be, of course, used in cars, which we found out, that hard plastic that's inside of your cars is also can be made from industrial hemp. And so is there a way that farmers are growing and they can also make money? Yes. And it is called a credit carbon currency. So I'm going to share my screen and kind of go over that with you guys. As far as, let me see where we are with this. Let me stop screen, present. And again, this is just another way to make money. We definitely are encouraged by income when it comes to agriculture, but we really want to talk about ways when we're talking about industrial hemp, trees, corn husk, roots of things. We just want to see, is there another way of making money? So there is something called carbon credits, and we want to talk about that and exactly what that is. Farm Raised is another resource or blog page that I kind of get into. And of course, it is important in making sure that you had a good resources when you are looking for things. And so Farm Raised is one of those blog pages that I also read and stay in contact with, and I like what they have to say about carbon credit. So sustainability and climate change are new topics, right? And along with that trend, when we talk about climate change and sustainability, is carbon credits. And that probably really came around emissions and in the 80s, and moving forward, now it is a way to transfer those carbon emission credits, and now it's just called a carbon credit marketplace. Okay, and Europe, of course, were trendsetters in going in that direction. But let's see exactly what carbon markets are and how carbon credits work, how to sequester carbon, okay, and 5 carbon markets to watch, and if carbon markets are a good option for your operation. Because remember, we're talking about making money. And industrial hemp, of course, is my favorite cash crop. And so we definitely want to kind of understand exactly what's that all about. So, of course, what does Farm Raised have to say about this? Because this is who we're going to go with as far as our resource for tonight. And even when we say carbon credits, what is that even talking about? And I tried to break it down in this manner. So let's say you got a table and it was 100% made of a combined materials, okay? And now we take 10% of that and make sure they are either bio waste or biomass, or some type of greenery as part of their making process. So now the cost, which was at 100%, is now decreased by that 10%, which is made from some type of biomass. And so now with that 10%, I can actually sell and trade that. And it has value, of course, because it was a part of the 100 and now it is not. And people are actually subtracting that. So more likely it is a business now of moving carbon credits. Because of greenhouse gas emissions, now you can actually buy carbon credits that equal the amount of carbon emitted into the environment. And again, that means like even if I built something and burnt it, what would happen to it? So if the buyer of carbon credit buys too many credits, they can also offset that with selling them to someone else. So that is why it is called a carbon market, because you can buy and sell carbon credits. Nowadays, farmers can get in on this trend, and the governments and industries are trying to reduce their carbon footprint. So by implementing regenerative agriculture practices, growers can practice carbon sequestration through carbon farming, trapping carbon dioxide in the soil. One of the motivation behind this advent of carbon markets is to privatize climate actions. And again, if I privatize it, then of course I can definitely put a number on it. So how do farmers and ranchers actually sequester carbon? Okay, that is always the big question. Like, how do we get into this market as farmers and ranchers, correct? So sequestering carbon is the way to address this excess of carbon in our atmosphere, and that will continue to be trapping heat in our atmosphere. So the way to capture and remove atmospheric carbon dioxide is to sequester it in agriculture. And believe it or not, what actually does carbon sequestering better than plants, correct? They actually use the carbon and remove it out of the Earth's atmosphere as it is going through photosynthesis. So now you know the atmosphere the carbon is being stored in plants and soil. So carbon sequestration is just a new name for photosynthesis, which also refers to trapping carbon dioxide as well. Okay. Carbon sequestration improves both soil and water quality. And so here are like 5 different methods here that I'm sharing with you guys in regards to how can farmers get into carbon sequestering. Of course, cover crops. One of the most popular carbon sequestration practices is cover crops, right? And it reduces soil erosion, which capture nutrients and carbon in the soil, which is what we are looking for at all time. And of course, what is the best cover crop? Industrial hemp. And that's because it also cleans the soil of metals and unwanted things, as well as trapping nutrients and carbon in the soil at the same time. So we really like industrial hemp, even for cover crops. Sowing companions, planting crops that grow well together. So even if you all have like timber or trees, before you actually do that first burn, you can grow industrial hemp in between the trees. Okay. And they grow well together, and they encourage biodiversity, and which is good for soil health. So just keep that in mind. Soybeans and rye can help protect the soybeans from pests and encourage healthy growth and carbon sequestration. So that is also a practice that farmers have been doing for a while. You know, if I plant something around whatever my main crop is, it could either help protect it from either pests, and so we've been doing that for a while. I also like when we're talking about planting things to control pests, again, like sunflowers and things that may produce worms, and they can attack your sunflowers first, or different pests, and you can plant them around your crops. And so rye also can be considered a cover crop as well. Reducing tillage. Tilling the land, you release trapped carbon back into the atmosphere. And so they rather you not do that, believe it or not. No tilling farming can help keep carbon trapped in the soil. And that just means, you know, should I till the land first? A lot of times if we have cover crops, we can just plant right over them, and they just kind of, we just put them into the ground at the same time without tilling them or removing them. And that is kind of how we can reduce tillage. Rotational grazing. A lot of people thought that cattle, of course, was like public enemy number one for climate change, but that is not true. It's just about the best management practices, even when it comes to cattle. So instituting a grazing schedule, and that just means they won't eat it all the way down to nothing, to the roots. And so that could allow the soil to regenerate quicker, which is what we want. And it will also trap more carbon if we do not eat the grass all the way down to the roots. Crop rotation. A lot of big farmers, like, believe it or not, I work with farmers all over America. And so I have some farmers in Montana who have large, thousands and thousands of acre crops. And believe it or not, they're growing the same exact thing every year, or as many harvest cycles as they can get in a year with that one crop. And so understanding crop rotation, even for those people, is very important, okay? They're losing a lot of topsoil because they are planting the same things and they're not using cover crops. And so crop rotation over time on the same land can increase organic matter in the soil and improve carbon sequestration. Just having a crop in there, even clovers can put back nutrients into the soil that the one crop may take out. And so crop rotation can help over time on the same land in saving your soil. Not to mention it disrupts the life cycle of different pests. So ones that are used to being there with that crop that you are having to spray for, if you change what you're growing, then of course that will change that pest life cycle to where, oh my goodness, my food supply is gone. And now there's a new pest here that may eat that pest. And so crop rotation, again, is another good way to help save the soil and keep the carbon in. And so, and just understanding this, even USDA has funding through the EQIP program, which is through NRCS, and having your customer data sheet of AD 1027 is important, and making sure that you're registered throughout the majority of the USDA departments. And AgUP, again, will and if you know anything about NRCS and conservation plans, it's a cost sharing plan, but they can help you to plant cover crops and sow certain companion crops as well to help you to practice no-till farming on your land. And of course, read more about the AgUP program and get with your NRCS agent about actually getting funding around using these different ways to sequester carbon. Okay. Which crops are good for carbon credits? And this is very important. If you're looking to sell carbon credits, it stands to reason that you want to cultivate crops that capture the most carbon. Of course, trees, because of bark, and they just use a lot of carbon to produce their flowers or their produce, which may be walnuts, olives, chestnuts. Those tree crops are really high. Perennials, kernza, rhubarb, many types of berries, cover crops, rye, barley, crimson clover. All of those, again, are good for trying to sell those carbon credits to different companies. If you are interested in capturing carbon for the sake of this planet, for plants may serve you very well. Because remember, anything green uses carbon to do photosynthesis. So we do want to understand that that is the process and why all of this is so important to farmers, because everything that you grow usually is using some type of photosynthesis to grow. It would allow you to some companies will allow you to even enroll in a carbon credit program, and they will pay you premium for your crops if you use specific conservation practices, which we talked about earlier were 5 particular ones. So you do need to learn carbon capturing methods and standards of the company you enter into contract with. And so let's look at some of those companies, because we don't want to talk about it if I can't actually point you to the money, right? And so these are the top 5 carbon markets for producers to consider. And so please just research these as we go through them. Indigo Carbon, okay? It is most recognized name in the farming community. Okay, Indigo Ag has an impressive list of corporate buyers like Northwest, Blue Bottle Coffee, JP Morgan, Chase. While Indigo is touted as a leader in the emerging industry of carbon, it may not be the best option for all. So, of course, Indigo Carbon, Indigo Ag, let's look at the pros and cons of getting with this particular company. Okay, the pros. Farmers can expect between $30 and $40 per credit and take home at least 75% of the credit sale price. And in 2022, carbon credit price for farmer workers with Indigo was $30 per credit. And again, you can get an estimate of your potential earnings on their website. And they're usually talking about a minimum of 40 acres. I don't see that on here, but that's usually one of the requirements. Let me get down to the, let me finish with the pros of getting with Indigo Carbon. It has a proprietary software platform that's easy to input data from your fields. And after enrolling, farmers have access to agronomists and support teams to help them implement any changes, conservation practices, and answer any questions. And so that is a real true positive with working with Indigo. Cons. All right. Although they've added 9 states to their program right now, Indigo only serves these specific states: Alabama, Arkansas, Colorado, Delaware, Georgia, woohoo, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maryland, Michigan, Minnesota, Mississippi, Missouri, Nebraska, New York, North Carolina, North Dakota, Ohio, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Vermont, Virginia, Wisconsin. So those are not all the 50 states, but as you can see, indigo is growing and they are probably in a state near you. Farmers also need to have detailed management practice information from the past 3 to 5 years. Record keeping. You know how I'm always preaching at you guys. And so it's very important, again, that you have your detailed management practices. What kind of management practices do we want? The best management practices. So please look into that for your state, for your crop. And make sure that you have information for the past 3 to 5 years, or you will not be able to start collecting money from indigo. Okay. And so farmers only get paid for the new practices, which is cover cropping, reduce nitrogen fertilizer. And so even though if you've been cover cropping for years, it's just, again, how they're doing it and what specific cover crops you're using. If you've been using a single crop cover and switch to a multi-crop cover, you may be eligible. Again, and this is with indigo, carbon, indigo ag, and they are one of the carbon markets for producers. Okay. Nori. Okay, it's a blockchain-enabled startup company who is unique to the carbon removal industry. Okay, they are powered by cryptocurrency. And it's a new approach that they hope will create efficient and transparent carbon removal transactions. Okay, so companies can purchase Nori tokens, whose price depends on the market of a carbon removal credit at the time of the purchase. So once Nori's token, once you have one of those, the company can exchange it for Nori removal tokens. Okay. Farmers create normal Nori removal tokens when they sequester 1 ton of carbon dioxide. So the NFT translate into a Nori token, which is priced at market value and can be sold whenever you feel is right. So the exchange rate between a Nori token and a Nori removal token will always be 1-to-1. And again, some kind of way you got to be able to track this currency. And so Nori has brought in their token system to be able to do that. Okay. And again, they are using a method so that they understand when a ton of carbon dioxide has been sequestered. And of course, that breaks down to some real science there. Okay. So a company like this model, they can buy tons of carbon or those Nori tokens and bank them, and then eventually exchange them for Nori removal tokens, which count toward carbon removal. So again, farmers like this model because they have the power to sell their banked carbon when it's most beneficial to them. Okay. And it's so crazy because just like credit currency, carbon credit currency is an invisible hand. And so putting tokens and credits on this thing is pretty much how they're keeping up with it. And I have to remind people, you may have Cash App on your phone, even though you don't quite understand Bitcoin or that coin currency. Okay. The pros we're going with this particular company, Nori. Nori has a pilot phase with a will award to 5 years of grandfather credits. Okay, so if you actually have credits from 2016 to 2020, you can actually get awards or credits with Nori. Okay, farmers will be given tokens, which is essentially real money for every ton that they sequester and can cash it in whenever they want to. So Nori tokens is priced at the market value of the carbon credit. So the idea is that the longer you hold on to the tokens, the more they'll be worth in the long run, much like stocks. Okay, so Nori has kind of put it into the stream of things as far as currency is concerned, and it looks more like stocks that farmers can bank on. And in the long run, when this the value of this thing goes up, they can sell it back to North and to get real money. So again, farmers are able to directly connect with buyers, cutting out the middleman, which saves time and money. So Nori is kind of a good way to go if you believe that you can get grandfather credits. And much like stock, Nori has tokens that you can save and sell depending on market value. What are the cons of working with this particular company? It is still doing pilot programs right now. So if you're looking to sign up, you'll have to join a wait list. But again, as you see, they're getting around. They're not in all 50 states, but they are in the majority of the states up and running. Okay, and so our third company that we want to discuss is True Carbon by TrueTerra. Okay, and TrueTerra is a subsidiary of Land O'Lakes, and it is one of the largest farmer-owned cooperatives, Land O'Lakes. So if you've ever talked to me and I talk about cooperatives, that is also one that should be modeled after. And as you can see, it just launched its program, carbon credits, in 2021. And they currently offer 3 main sustainability programs to remote enroll in. And they have different eligibility standards, but one common requirement is that you have already instituted conservation practices before connecting with them. Okay, which is important as far as stewardship is concerned, to make sure that you understand conservation practices and that you've already been doing them. So what are the pros in working with TrueTerra? That program allows farmers to calculate their carbon removal and estimate their earnings in one place. They also have access to resources like sustainability tools, agronomic support, and that just means an agronomist, someone who studies agriculture, and that is from the Land O'Lakes network. And they're used to sending out people like that, again, because it is one of the largest farming cooperatives that you can join. Based on the research and knowledge, TrueTerra is the only company interested in paying farmers right now. And that means if you made a change in your practices before joining the program, you may be eligible for payment. And so that would not be such a surprise as they expand to allow farmers to enroll for future payments. Right now, they're only focused on retroactive accounting, which means getting paid right now. And so, again, this is the business to get into. And there are a lot of companies on board in figuring it out. Is this new? Remember, I told you probably in the 80s or maybe even back to the 60s when they started emissions, decreased emissions programs, when they started talking about greenhouse gases. And so this thing has been a long time coming, 1960 to 2025. 2020 really is when it started jumping off. So don't think that you're just jumping into something new. It's not that new, okay? This is now they just figured out a way to make money from it, okay? So TrueTerra also has cons, and we wanted to look at all of that. So enrolling in contingent commitment to a 20-year reporting period. Carbon reporting contracts are similar to conservation plans that you may have with NRCS, meaning they could be transferred in the case of a transfer of property. Okay. Their payouts range to seem a bit lower than competitors because they offer $15 to $30 per ton of new carbon sequestered. So just keeping that in mind. Dig deep before you call up a company, and do like Farm Rise, how they got like the different companies here, and they are comparing which ones, the pros and the cons to each one, and farmers definitely need to do that. So please watch this YouTube again if you are interested in getting into carbon credit currency. So another company here, Bear, Carbon Initiative is one of the newest ones on the list, but their program is the easiest to understand and most transparent. And that's because, again, as people are coming out with this, companies are coming out with better ways to do this thing, right? So Bayer, and if you don't know that name, that was the aspirin king of the world. And it is still hugely influential to food and agriculture companies in its own right. So they have resources and expertise to offer this strong support to farmers. And so, again, the name is everything. You know, we always talking about brand and how important it is. So we know that brand Bayer. And so, of course, when they say they have the resources and expertise to support, we believe them. They have partnered also with some big names to expand their benefit efforts for participants. Because when you're in big business, you understand connecting with the right people can help you expand what you're trying to do. So they offer free soil sampling. You won't have to repay anything if you decide to lead a program. Participants receive access to Climate Field Plus, which is a digital ag platform that would allow producers to check their process. We like digital because, again, I can be busy, come home from dinner, cut my computer on, and have everything pop up. I can know where my cows are because they're tagged. You know, I can know exactly what my field is doing from digipops that you can put in the ground. So we definitely like that they have a Climate Field View Plus, which is a digital ag platform that allows to check our progress. So the programs are more offer more agency in terms of which practices to use on which plots of land. And so, yeah, Bayer Carbon is pretty on the rise and doing well. Okay, they offer larger incentives for farmers this year than they did last year, and they're probably going to keep going up as they figure this thing out. The cons of Bayer: this program is still young, so expect some kinks to be worked out. And although the program is transparent how they operate, they don't have the highest rate for carbon sequestration. So Bayer is an ag retailer. So be careful, read the fine print when enrolling. Make sure you're not signing up for proprietary products unless that's what you want to do. Okay. So, of course, that's just a side effect of working with one of the biggest companies there is. Okay. Nutrient Ag. We like these people. They've done a lot in the past. Their core businesses are creating seeds and fertilizer, herbicides, and software to optimize farming performance. So now that they've announced they getting into the game, Nutrient Ag started its 2-year pilot program in 2021. And it has a decade-long commitment to scale the carbon program by 2023. Okay, and so they exceeded their anticipated farmer participation. And so, yeah, which we're not surprised because Nutrient Ag has been doing well since they've been in the game. Pros: they have a deep bench of agronomists on staff to provide guidance for newly enrolled farmers. So we really appreciate them for that. And those, when we're very familiar with nutrient agronomists, because they definitely come out and check whenever you're using their products. So entering the market may have an additional benefit for farmers looking for guidance on the best way. So you may not get the largest cut, but these are people who are very familiar with this stage. And so, yeah, and guess what? Nutrient is just like most big companies. They know how to get into this thing. They have big partners like Pepsi, National Fish and Wildlife Foundation, and Syngenta. So as a global retailer, they have plenty of connections to influence companies who might be interested in purchasing carbon credits. And that's the whole point. Like, I can go up if you got the supply and demand thing going on. So there's definitely someone you may want to get in touch with, Nutrient Ag. What is one of the cons of working with them? Because it is on proprietary products, enrollment in their carbon program could mean you're signing up to use their products. If you're interested in signing up, make sure you read the fine print. And due to a number of things, there's an obvious way to enroll in the website. You'll have to email nutrient support or subscribe to their updates to even get involved. Okay. Again, the landscape of the carbon market is constantly changing, but it is bank for farmers or producers, anybody growing or producing anything. Again, this is the way to go to also make money with your crops. And I thought this would be a great time to talk about it because cover crops, industrial hemp, and the biomass that they make, and of course, is increased in carbon sequestration. Okay, so that's kind of what we wanted to talk about as far as carbon credits. If you have multi-years of farm data, in other words, 3 to 5 years, then yes. If you own the land, yes. If you plan to farm the land for years into the future, then yes. Our carbon credit is good for your operation. I can't even think of a reason why not, because again, they basically are talking about photosynthesis. And so as a producer, all of the things, vegetables, tomatoes, trees, walnuts, that good green, all of that is, to me, a way to sequester carbon, and so could mean additional revenue for you. So there is always a benefit in getting into carbon credit currency. So I do believe in, again, us understanding that there are ways in agriculture to make money more than what you can see at the grocery store. We kind of limit ourselves to just grocery store thinking, and we don't want to do that. Okay, and so there is a market out there, a carbon market that you can also tap into, and it does depend on your conservation practices. So that means 2 checks. Like, you can get money not only for your crops, but the way you are best management practices you are using on your farmer crops. So again, that's just important information when we're talking about industrial hemp and ways to make money with your crops. I do know farmers in the Carolinas who are right now making money getting a check for carbon credits. And so we definitely, again, want to make sure that here at AgUP World, that we just kind of make sure you see all the options you have in front of you in making your farms better, making your lives better. And so we know for a fact that carbon credit currency is the way to go. So I want to kind of shift from there. I'm still sticking with industrial hemp right now. And I want to talk about moving your products, okay? Whether it's hemp and you are tying your stalk for fiber, or it's hemp and you are bagging for flour, or if it's watermelons and you have big crates, if you have tomatoes in small packaging. Either way, you got to figure out how to move this thing. So I was fortunate to connect with Minority Professional Truckers Association. And so I want to talk about Teresa Watson. This is my new favorite friend, you guys. Minority Professional Truckers Association, Cultivating Connections. They are all about moving farming products. They will move any product. Don't get me wrong, it is a truckers association, but they have a special start in cultivating moving farmer products, farmer and rancher products. So that means meat as well. And so I have been fortunate to connect with Teresa Watson, who is the executive director of Minority Professional Truckers Association. And so problems, farm equipment access, these are problems that they also have identified in their lens of how can we help Black farmers and ranchers and landowners, right? And so this is from their lens of what they see as truckers and how can they help us, right? So the problems, farm equipment access, even if we did have a big tractor, how can we move it from one place to another? Product transport, how do we get into state, national, local markets if we can't move our products efficiently? Storage facility access, that's a big thing. Like when I take it out the ground, where is it going before it gets to the buyer? Or if I'm ready to plant again, where am I going to put my harvest? No processing facilities. Oh my gosh. So a lot of times when we talk about seed, wheat, bread, the farmers know exactly how to cultivate. They can get that seed to wheat. It'll be as pretty as possible. But we never get to the bread. The bread is the processing. And so we definitely know that is one of our main problems, is us getting to the bread. Solutions, agriculture hubs, access to transportation, farm equipment for sign out, access to relevant markets. So this is what they have tackled their problems and decided that these are the solutions that they offer. I know for a fact they have 300 plus drivers, 1,000 pieces of equipment. And when I talk about that, I mean covered farm vehicles, reefer trucks, refrigerated trucks. They have flatbeds, liquid containers, whatever you can think of when it comes to being able to transport things efficiently, they got it. Okay, being able to help you connect with those local, state, and national markets is very important. And again, we found out that 1,000 miles is still considered local. So if you can get things moved in within 1,000 miles, you can charge those local prices, because it's very hard to get fresh food that's locally grown. And so this, again, is a way for you to provide that demand to that particular market. They're also trying to identify hubs. Georgia, Louisiana, and Texas are the 3 locations that they're looking at right now. And again, all of this is about helping our farmers connect to local, state, and national markets. So I feel like even with the CBD, a lot of times that we just had a hard time figuring out what market we need to get to. And so now that we have transportation connection with Teresa Watson and her team, it's going to help us better to be able to move our products quickly and at the cost that we want. Minority Professional Truckers Association is the nonprofit to the profit for-profit company, which is Watson Enterprise Group. And with them being involved, the Watson Enterprise Group, now they actually can serve like a buyer, like Cargill, right? Go out there and find those end contracts for our farmers as well. So Watson Enterprise Group also has partnered with Minority Professional Truckers Association to give us that end game to what we're trying to do. How do we get to the bread? We got to have it processed. We got to have it storage. We need it packaged and shipped. And so the Watson Enterprise Group and Minority Professional Truckers Association can help with that. The way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing. And so they are already up and running in PTA. So if you need anything right now, they can, as far as moving your products. And you may be like Federation of Southern Cooperatives or a land grant school that has equipment and things they want to ship and move. Please reach out to Minority Professional Truckers Association Teresa Watson, so that you all can, again, quit talking and begin doing. Now, Teresa is not alone, and again, she is the executive director of the MPTA team. Dr. Malia West, management accounting. Aon Clark, Mr. Ron, who also does our procurement. David Williams, IT and cybersecurity. Baxter Taylor, member services. So if you are a trucker, you want to get involved, that's who you will reach out with. Contract acquisitions, Mr. Henry Rolfe. And again, he is helping us with that end game to help us find forward contracts for our farmers. And these are their comprehensive solutions as they see fit in, of course, helping to meet the needs of the farmers when it comes to logistics. They have the vehicle capacity, trailer capacity, cargo capacity, resource capacity, contract capacity. And that just means in these areas, they are steady building. Okay. Capacity means how much or how many. And so definitely market capacity, capital capacity, driver capacity. And they are meeting these solutions right now. So as of April, I know they will be closing on some land in Louisiana so they can start with distribution and storage. Okay. That is very important. And then, of course, produce and livestock processing. That's what we need. When we're looking at exactly how do we get to the market? How do we get to this money, right? So contracting and maintenance, they're taking care of that as well. So if you have tractors or heavy equipment that you need maintenance, bam, Minority Professional Truckers Association can help you with that as well. And Georgia, having Savannah right there as the number one port can allow us to, again, get into international markets. And so Minority Professional Truckers Association can move your stuff from the farm, whether you're in rural areas or urban areas, and get it to the market. What have they been doing? They have really been making some great strides here. I got to travel with them during their Black Farmers Initiative and go to different states to talk to farmers. And so I have been right there with them as they have been growing. And Watson Enterprise Group is right now making contracts for the farmers so that they can move. And as you can see on this timeline, Connect with Agripreneurs, which is the name of my nonprofit. And so I'm also with this nonprofit. It's going to help with compliance and quality control for the farmers, and in what I call a CQC advantage, which is checks and balances. And our AgUP campaign, Agriculture for a United People. So don't be surprised that AgUP World is all about, again, uniting our people. And so town hall meetings to build capacity and bring farmers and ranchers operations to sustainability is what AgUP campaign is all about. And so even through this podcast, we're putting out positive, correct information that you can use to help your farming operations, to help you to focus, to help you to build capacity. The AgUP World podcast is to support that as we go around state to state to, again, help our farmers with their operations getting to sustainability. So Teresa Watson, again, you guys, if you need to contact someone to help move your products, they can do it. info@minoritytruckersassociation.com. And of course, let them know in that email whether you're trying to be a trucker or whether you need some help moving equipment or, you're trying to connect to your buyers. MPTA.org is the website that you can check out. And of course, Teresa Watson can be reached 678-909-3432. She's a very busy lady, and I suggest you email her. So that's another thing about everything that we're doing here at AgUP World. Teresa Watson and the logistics company is very important in what we're doing. Again, in trying to move forward and trying to help our farmers get to the market. Okay, that is always our goal, is to the end game. So compliance and quality control is what we always are focusing on. And then we have logistics in place now to help you move your product to the market. And so, yeah, that is how things have been going in the industrial hemp world so far. And just to recap, we've already discussed how to get a grower's license, which is something you should be doing right now, how to cultivate an acre. We've talked to some experts on having your fields tested and having them tested often, SJ Labs and analytics. And then, of course, making sure you have an end game for your product. And so we talked to Alexis Harris this month as well about, again, record keeping, and how to have an end game, a farm plan for your industrial hemp, which is very important. So my antics have always taken me across the nation in these past couple years. And I do humbly appreciate people who are asking for me to come and give them more information. And so, lucky for me again, I was in Alabama. And so I got to, I was there for the 133rd annual Farmers Conference. And when I tell you it was 18, 19, 20, 21, 4 days. And it went awesome. On the very first day, they had like a taster's choice. And so the different farms came out with their products and they was cooked to perfection, of course, as always. And on Wednesday and Thursday, they touched base on everything from animals, which is very important. You know, let's not forget about herding and meat processing, and then getting into the market. They talked about, of course, farm to table, and had a lot of great strategies in there for sustaining small farms and communities. So it was very impactful. It was a lot of people there. I know I saw like over 200 plus farmers, a lot of them from Alabama. So Tuskegee is getting out their information about climate and being climate smart ag, food systems, and prosperity. And on the last day, which I am so excited to talk about, was a tour. So I'm thinking, you know, most of these conferences that we go to, they do farm tours. At the SOAP conference in February, they had Global Growers Network, even farms right here in the city, Urban Ag. Global's Grower Network is one for a teaching farm for people to come and lease land. And so, of course, I had connected with them during the soil conference, but they had like 9 different farm tours going on. So I'm thinking, okay, I get to check out some farms in Alabama and see how that goes, right? That's what I was thinking, right? But this was completely different, and I really appreciate Tuskegee for putting this thing on for us. And so I had the time of my life. You know, I love to learn about my Black history. And so this was that. I was able to, again, just able to connect with Tuskegee. And so what did they do for us? They had this excellent tour where we actually got to go from Montgomery to Selma. This here that I'm showing you, you guys, is from the conference. It's not from the tour. And it's basically talking about how they have a new project coming up around natural gas. And so if you're in these areas, I think that's why I have this up. I just want to make sure people understand that they will be trying to lease land, or they need to rent your land some kind of way if they're going to be digging and adding this new piping for an upcoming project. So that's what this is all about. But yes, back to the farm tour. So again, I was fortunate to be at the conference, and yeah, we had such a lot of fun. Met a lot of great people doing great things. This particular setup here was by a man who goes into the school system. So he shows them how to good versus bad, how to cut off the ugly, and then different recipes, sauces, and stuff you can do with food that maybe before you get ready to throw it out, and it's not quite, it's just not as pretty as you like. And so it talks about banana bread and different things. But again, I really like this setup. It's called Live Well, Alabama. And it might be something that we can take over the states as well, as we go in and try to create curriculum around agriculture for our students. So this is a real interesting setup that they had. And I just really liked it. Of course, you see, if I took a picture of it, that says a lot. Live well, this. And and here we go. So back to talking about this great tour. Okay. And those who are familiar, this is around Bloody Sunday. We knew that they did a march across the bridge and got attacked coming across the bridge. But I'm not sure if everybody knows that it was a 54-mile walk that they participated in before a lot of them went to their death or went to go where they were beat and hurt tremendously from horses and clubs and just people trying to hurt them. And so this particular tour started here and Bob Mance Jr. Memorial Highway. So they have just recently named this highway after this man who was a part of that movement that we now call Bloody Sunday. And so here's just some little information I wanted to play. And I'm not sure if you all could even hear that video or not. But again, that was the daughter of Mr. Mance, just letting us know that even the Black Panther Party started there in Lowndes County. They could not get on the ballots and for Democrat or Republic. And so they came up with their own Black Party, Panther Party, to get on the ballots. And even in Lowndes County, after doing all of that and it being a majority Black county, they still lost. But the Black Panther movement started there in Alabama because those people, and a lot of them were students who decided that they've had enough. They have tired of living like second class citizens. And so they came together and formed a party so that they could get on the ballot and vote for the people they knew would represent them. Also, there were some other things, and let's see if we can get this other. She had another time that she was speaking. Let's see if we can pull that up. And I know you can't actually see what is being shown right now, but yes, on that 54 miles, yes, on that 54-mile walk, and I can't, we can't see the video, so I'm gonna stop sharing that. But on that mile walk, these people actually stopped at 3 campsites along the way because they had 300 people that were walking this walk. A guy stood up in the church and said, "You know what? I'm going to take this walk on behalf of our people." And yes, and 300 people end up taking that walk with John Lewis and Mr. Mance. They also talked about how in Lowndes County, in their history, there was a man who had success. He literally had a general store where people could come in and buy just what they didn't grow on the farm, things that they may have needed. He also had a transportation company. He was transporting cattle back and forth to the slaughterhouse, and was killed at 39 because he was that nigga was too successful. And so we got to also see a memorial of where his store was, and there is a memorial there that's fenced in as well. And so we kind of just went through that whole trip from Montgomery to Selma, and we stopped at the 3 different campsites where they allowed people, even during this time of rejection and bad things happening. They had something called Tent City. And this is where they put up tents for those people who lost homes during that time. And so you may even see families of 8 and 9 staying in tents. And they called it Tent City, even though it was one farmer's land that was open, and they just allowed people to come if if your home was taken away or burned down or anything like that. Then Tent City was a place for Black families to come and set up and live for a while. And so that was a pretty big deal on this tour, just learning again about just the resilience of our people and recognizing that it was a time for change. I do believe that the drowning of Emmett Till might have sparked a lot of this, because it was in 1955, which was still amazing, the date, and that they were still lynching. And I found out that lynching doesn't mean hang someone by a tree. Lynching means more than one person participating in the homicide of another. And so that the lynching that was still going on in the South, the atrocities still going on in the South, I think it was important that John Wood and I'm sorry, not John Wood, but it is important that that movement took place, just again to show the atrocities that were still going on in the South. And Bloody Sunday, if you've seen any movies or even any recent events about it, it was pretty horrific. And they actually have a memorial in the middle of Selma and Montgomery. And it's at one of the campsites, near one of the campsites. And they just talk about, they have videos playing of people who were there during that time, and how they had to leave people behind because they were scared themselves of dying. And that these people did not just attack them when they crossed the bridge, that attack continued into the nighttime, into the evening, and they followed these people in with their horses and things, and continue to strike and hit and beat them into the night, all the way into a church that was nearby as well. And they wanted to help a young lady who got hit in the head, and it seemed as if she fell dead on the stairs. And they could not open the doors because of the attacks that were going on. So these atrocities that were happening on this particular day, Bloody Sunday, just was trying to again awaken the eyes of America, to show them that even though slavery was over, these things were still continuing. And yes, it was a big shock to the world when they saw these things, but not to the people of the South, who was experiencing these on a daily, regular basis. Their voting rights constantly being denied. And so it is just enlightening to know that, again, young people came together. It wasn't kids, but they were old enough and mature enough to make decisions to say, hey, I need to do something about what's going on. And so John Lewis, of course, was one of the leaders that led Bloody Sunday. And it wasn't called that at the time, but of course it was a movement from Montgomery to Selma that happened to end in Bloody Sunday. And so just kind of, again, knowing what our history is and where we come from is very important. And we want to make sure that, people understand that we as a people have always tried to persevere. Whether people thought we was not smart enough, or we didn't have the intelligence to vote or anything like that, we did believe in ourselves as a people. We believed in helping each other. And so that is still a big deal, even to this day. And so just fast forward. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see this either, but just again, talking about how we can, what can we do individually when it comes to who we are as a people, and lending our hand in moving forward. And so years ago, and it's been a while, this is probably 2020, that no, 2002, that I wrote a book called Ready, Aim, Fire, Redefining Black America. I recognize how important that it is to realize who we are as a people. Like, what are we doing even now? And so it took me a minute, but I had definitely decided that I wanted to talk about what I was seeing, the atrocities that were going on even during my own time. I did not grow up in the projects, but I seen the results of the projects. And again, these people are still trying to hold us down. So the word Sankofa, and people may be familiar with that word. It is a African term meaning reaching back to reclaim that which is lost in order to move forward. So even during these times that we're looking at and we're talking about, which wasn't that long ago, maybe 80 years, 60, 80 years ago. And then moving forward, I was born in the 70s. And so 80s and the 90s were a hard time for our people. And so the book that I wrote talks about America's history and how we got to such a racial divide. This book reveals the underhanded techniques that still continue by America's elite. And we just kind of been fortunate that Trump has revealed that Elon Musk is helping. So he's just not behind the scenes. He's in front of the scenes. So I guess we can be appreciative to the transparency of America's elite that still continue to reveal their underhanded techniques. Factual information on the KKK, who now runs the White House, as we can see. And also, they created the foundation for GBI and FBI. And so that information is also included in this book. As a result of the racial divide, the Black race has suffered being the target of hatred, as always. So America does know its Black history, but understand that we are still learning our Black history. They, and I can say Americans, took a lot of time into making sure that our education was not complete, that we did not, we understood that white America is where we were. And so because of all of that, it was important that I get out information to show us that Black people are just now learning our history, and it is a time for us to heal and grow. Black people are still trying to reach another level of freedom. If you even understand anything about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we are still getting to a place of self-actualization. Now, unfortunately, we are under a prison for our minds. We cannot reverse what has happened, but offer a different outcome of what was intended. So Black people, our hair grows up and everyone in the world hair grows down. I think that is why agriculture is so important, even in understanding who we are as a people. Black people are the natural leaders of the world, and it's time for us to take our place without fear, but with integrity, dignity, intelligence, and the spirituality needed for the continuance of our own human race. So I talk about not just as we lead ourselves, but that other cultures will come behind us, because they're too also waiting for us to figure out new ways of doing things, new systems, as they tear down our education departments and our government. What does that need to look like? We again are forced into a position to come up with better ways of doing things. This book specifically, it looks kind of militant. And of course, with the words ready, aim, fire, it sounds militant. But I just mean it is time for us to get serious. It's time to put our war clothes on. It's time for us to stand up for our people, for ourselves, and want something different. As you can see, their target is over the man's heart specifically because he is our leader. The Black man is our provider, our protector. He is going to help us to come out of this thing. And his support is his family, because there is nothing that the Black family cannot do. We're having to rebuild and restructure and figure that thing out as well. But this is Women's History Month, and I thought I should talk about a little bit about my history and how important it has been even to me to live a life of legacy. And I have wrote a book. It's a short book, maybe 42 pages, not a lot to read. And I am going to upload it to this particular YouTube, just so you guys again can hear how serious it is that we redefine Black America and where we're going. This is a continuous struggle, a continuous fight. As you can see, our people are always needing someone to stand up and say, how can we be better, do better? That struggle is real. It is something that we face daily. And generationally, we are still faced with these same barriers. Now they talk about a paper ceiling, which means documentation, degrees, and what do we look like in Black and white. And so, but we're not going to let any ceilings, clear or paper, stop us from moving forward, and understanding that coming together as a people is very important. We have value, not in our clothes, not in the cars we drive, not in how much money is in our bank account. And mind you, none of those things you can take with you into the next life. You will have to leave them here for someone else to use, as you particularly gather these things that you feel are giving you value. But as a people, we know it is all about your talents and gifts that you have been blessed with, which really shows your value. When you're being a servant in a state of humility, that really shows your value. And so it is important that as we redefine Black America, that we see the value in our people. If you don't know anything else, know that a majority of what we call the land of milk and honey, it has been perfected through fire of Black people. When I say fire, I mean that Black people had to go through the heat, through the pressure of coming up with ideas to make this world better. And we have, from the air conditioner to the refrigerator, to the fireman's mask, to the first heart transplant, to the first blood bank. There's just a number of things because we have gone through the fire. It has put the world, the human race, in a better place. And so we just want to continue that. And this book was written to, again, encourage our people, to let us know that who we are is not the people that we see. And that every generation, we are getting better and better and better. And it's important that we recognize who we are and the value that we have to this earth, to this planet, in, again, fixing the wrongs, making those crooked lines straight, and creating new systems that everyone can follow and be a part of. So I encourage you guys. This book also is on Amazon as well, $15. It's a quick read again, but it's just kind of, again, just to give you a view of who we are as a people, who we were, the different brainwashings that we've had to take place in, and that we're still going through a prison for our minds. And so as we realize who we are, or as people say, wake up from this prison for our minds, then we can flourish and be who we are called to be. And that is the true leaders, the true creators of making change. Everything you can think of started in Africa. Not only did they find the first bones, but string instruments. And we think that the violin and cello and piano and all these things came from one race, but it was our race who started even string instruments. Formal education also began in Africa. Everything, again, that you can think of that was ever began was probably by Black people. And there's nothing wrong with that, because if we go humbly and in the knowledge and the value that we have as a people, there is nothing we can't do to change everything. Agriculture belongs to us. The land belongs to us. It is for us to be in charge of, okay? And the wealth is in the land. I can't stress how even on the NASDAQ or the SP 500, soybean, corn, wheat, those are crops that you can make money from, right? That are commodities. That's just how big they've gotten. So there is no culture without agriculture. And so us coming back to this world of agriculture is going to better the planet. As you can see, even when it comes to greenhouse gases, farming is important. Everything we eat and wear is grown. So that too shows you how important agriculture is. And so as we move into our future generational wealth, coming together as families, as bringing our people together, uniting our people is how we get to generational wealth, how we build legacy that we leave, commodities that we can leave to our families to continue. And so we will continue these conversations always on not just growing our food, raising our animals, but growing our families and our education and raising our kids is very important. So agriculture for united people, AgUP world, yes, we are all about planting, growing, and harvesting together. Next week, next Sunday is our last Sunday on industrial hemp, and we'll still be talking about, again, ways to make money through industrial hemp, and we'll have some growers on, and they can kind of tell you their experiences of what they've been doing with hemp, and that they're still in it to win it, and what are their next steps when it comes to hemp. April, it's time to plant, and so we definitely want to get into soil testing and understanding what that is, understanding what cash crops are, and what crops are growing the best depending on where you are in the nation. And we're probably going to, again, talk more about logistics and ways to connect to the local, state, national, international markets. So I really appreciate you guys every Sunday night just hanging on in there with us. We are still building and learning. And as we go again, state to state, we was just in Alabama this week, working with Tuskegee. We are going to still continue these town halls and going to different land grant schools and farming communities to see about, again, bringing us together. That is most important. Agriculture for united people, so we can have a bigger share in the market, so we can understand, again, what generational wealth contains and how we can cultivate that with our families, with what we're doing. And so, yes, so please stay tuned next Sunday. If you're watching, please like and subscribe, because again, we're going to continue to put out good information that you can use all the way around for your families, for yourselves, for your farms. And again, as we are growing, harvesting together as a people. So stay tuned next week. And I do appreciate everybody who is just always dedicated to watching and coming on. And yes, and do share this again with others. The information that we had tonight is vital. Again, we talked about logistics. We talked about carbon credit currency. We talked about Bloody Sunday, okay, which again is all about our history. And just for just to throw that in there for you guys, because it is Women's History Month, just a little bit of history about me. I did write a book about redefining Black America, because my people are very important to me. God, I used to say burden me, but he has shared his compassion with me for his people. And so now, through that, as a vessel, as a tool, a conduit for God, I am bringing good information, and I am working very hard toward an end game, again, to put us in the market, get us that market share that we deserve as a people. So thank you again, everybody who continues to support and watch. And yes, we're on YouTube. AgUP World is where you can find us. And please share this with others. And we really appreciate everything that you guys do in reaching out and getting us more information so we'll know what's going on with you. So yes, please, in the comment section, you can let us know if you want to get into carbon credit currency, and we can connect you with that. Industrial hemp. I do have some people who are waiting on hemp manuals, and as we perfect them for your state, we will get those out to you. So yes, this is Industrial Hemp Month, and this is the 23rd day of March. And believe it or not, the 21st was the very first day of the march for Bloody Sunday from Montgomery to Selma. And so just being mindful that it's important that we learn about ourselves, our history, our people, and agriculture. Okay. So thank you again so much, you guys, for everything, for you watching. And we'll be back here next week with more hemp talk. And yes, and have some guests. Hopefully my lovely host, Terry and Parker, will be back as well. She just livening things up. I can be stoic. If you know me, I'm a nerd. I am a true nerd. I do a lot of reading. And so again, that which makes me a good resource for you guys as well. So keep on listening in, and we'll have more information out there. And of course, like and subscribe, and we will see you guys next week. Thank you again. This is AgUP World with Coach K.